Hey, what's up, guys? It's Robert Rule of 2 Review here, and today, here comes more Bioshock and a new mode. Okay, so just a few weeks ago, it was announced that Bioshock, the second DLC for Burial at Sea, so basically Burial at Sea Episode 2, was going to be on its way coming soon. It's going to be March 25th, so just under a month's time from now, from the date of this recording. And that's been really exciting. Burial at Sea Episode 1 came out several months ago. The game, Bioshock itself, is already almost 1 year old, if that doesn't blow your mind. I'm pretty sure it was March last year. And then I think it was in August that the first episode of Burial at Sea came out, which was pretty cool. For some reason, it seems like people are really mixed on that game, which I don't know why. I know that for the most part, right out of the gate, Bioshock Infinite was massively well received, as it should have been. I'll go ahead and link below my top 10 games of 2013, where I will spoil part of that list and tell you that I named Infinite as my third best game of the year. And most people seem to be right on that tip, you know, especially right when it came out. People were saying it was the game of the year, and some people were game of the century and crazy stuff. And then, of course, you start to get your detractors. When anything is so popular, so lauded, so well respected, and held up to such a high standard, people, especially on the internet, love to kind of just kick shit around and, you know, talk bad things about something that really probably isn't that bad, mostly because it's getting attention and they feel like there's probably other things that they like that they wish was getting that same attention. You know, we're all fairly guilty of it, so I won't pretend to be completely innocent. However, I do think it happens too often. It's a shame when it happens, and with Bioshock Infinite, that was definitely the case. And so then when Burial at Sea came out, you know, still most people were on the Bioshock Infinite bandwagon, and then it seemed like, you know, while a lot of people really did like it and it reviewed pretty well, people started to get more and more down on the idea that the story didn't need to continue and it wasn't very interesting. And I thought, I don't know if I want to spoil things or not, but I thought that the setting and where it went continuing from the ending, the surprise ending of Bioshock Infinite, was brilliant. It was the perfect step, I think, to take, you know, continuing DLC content for the story going forward. So that's still whatever to me at the end of the day. You know, while some people may have started to become more and more detractors and kind of be a little bit down on Burial at Sea Episode 1, I, however, thought it was fantastic, especially with the very hip, slick opening noir motif that the episode started you with. Oh my God, I was just sinking into it from just the first moment, and I loved it all the way through. It did kind of remind me of, for as almost perfect as I found Bioshock Infinite, it kind of reminded me that a lot of the combat still isn't perfect. And there are times where it's great and it really shines. And there are other times where it kind of feels cumbersome and annoying. Overall, it obviously never hindered the experience for the original game. It's one of my favorite of all time, I would say, at least of the last generation. And, you know, that, of course, everything that made that first game good, excuse me, is still present, was still present in Episode 1 of Burial at Sea. And so here we are with Episode 2 coming out, which is really, really exciting. Again, March 25th. So what's really interesting is going to be, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some pretty cool ideas, and I'm really excited to see where they're going to take the story, especially because the other interesting factor is that it's the last piece of Bioshock anything that is going to be coming out of Irrational Games. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. But, you know, what was also really neat, on top of the fact that, you know, where they're going to go with the story, is the fact that just today it was announced a 1998 mode for the game. So in the original Bioshock Infinite last year, there was an unlockable 1999 mode, which was, I never played it. One or two of my buddies played it and just loved it and thought it was the greatest thing. And I heard cool things. And it was apparently some painfully, pitifully, insultingly difficult mode. And I don't really know exactly how. I think it did different things than your average ultra difficulty to make it like a much, much harder mode. Hence the unique name of 1999 mode. You don't normally see or hear that, you know, that kind of idea when making a more difficult mode for a game. So they just announced for Burial at Sea Episode 2, a 1998 mode. And I think that's pretty cool, especially because a lot of the art they're using to advertise the game is fantastic. It looks like a super old school PC game. And it just makes me yearn for those days, man. The 90s for gaming, you guys, for anyone too young to have experienced it, you really missed out. It was just the best, man. And it's just cool to see these little visual cues and throwbacks to that concept of 1998 mode. However, 1998 mode as a mode is much more unique and significant in the sense that it's very much focusing on stealth. You'll be doing, I think, most of, if not all of Episode 2 playing as Elizabeth. And the game is going to, the 1998 mode is going to basically reward you and challenge you with apparently not trying to kill anybody. It's going to turn it into a stealth game, a kind of a stealth experience. Now, this could mean a few things. This could mean it's going to be the same game and experience it always was, only please don't kill people and try not to get seen. Or it's going to mean that they're going to rework a lot of the mechanics, the environments, the way that the AI might react or look for you, or the kinds of things you can do, the weapons you'll have, the objectives you're going to have. If they're going to alter those things to make 1998 mode feel like a different new experience of the same game, specifically episode 2 here. And I think that would be a really cool concept. We might be asking a lot to expect something like that because it sounds like they would have been reworking the game to essentially release 2 games at one time, which would probably be very difficult, expensive, and take a lot more time. So I guess we're just going to have to see. It's probably something more akin to the former, or maybe even like a mix of the both, like a good compromise of the both, where it's mostly the same experience, but maybe they've tweaked a few things here and there to make it feel or play out more like a stealth experience. I think it's pretty cool. There's definitely like a thief kind of motif going on. That did rhyme, didn't it? A thief motif going on with some of the art and stuff that I've seen for the game, specifically relating to 1998 mode. I don't know if that's actually going to be part of the game or what it's supposed to look like or feel like, but it's pretty neat. On top of, like I said, all the throwback retro 90s kind of stuff that they're doing, I think it's going to be really cool. So there's basically a lot to be excited about. The fact that the game is coming out, where they're going to go with the story. It's always great to get more Elizabeth, and how will this 1998 mode really play out. Personally, I'm really excited, but I'm also curious what you guys think. Lastly, on this topic too, is the fact that, like I had said just a few minutes ago, this is the last piece of Bioshock game to ever be released from Irrational Games. Now, on my video about a week ago talking about the Irrational Games closure, I had mentioned that, who knows what's going to happen to Bioshock going forward. What I've, learned about since then and not had a chance to talk about until now is the fact that, 2K Games is still the publisher that owns the rights to Bioshock. So that wasn't Irrational Games' thing, and I actually kind of thought it was, so that is completely my bad. So it's, even though it's tragic that we're losing Irrational in the way that we are, the really, really good news and fantastic silver lining is that Bioshock still remains an attainable property. 2K Games is a pretty big game. They've been involved in a lot of stuff, some stuff with Rockstar, and there's some really neat things going on, and they've made some great games, great sports games in the past. And I feel like the fact that they have this amazing property at hand means that either one of their internal studios may take it over, or, they could find someone else to take it over, which would be really exciting, thinking about a cool, like a different third-party developer or somebody taking it over. And it's kind of interesting to riff ideas and imagine who would be really good at doing that. I think Platinum Games or Konami would be 2 studios that would have really interesting takes on the Bioshock universe. Platinum Games, I love those guys. I don't think that they can do any wrong. And I think that if they were going to make a Bioshock game, they would make a really kick-ass game, but it might not feel much like a Bioshock game. So that's a little bit tough to figure out. Konami is a game with their Metal Gear experience that I feel like they could really do something with the engine groundwork that had already been laid, unless they built a brand new engine, but I think that environment and atmosphere is something that they could do really cool things with, There's other ideas. Those are just 2 that kind of popped immediately into my head that are third-party developers that could make games for all 3 platforms. But no more Irrational making Bioshock, but it could still exist. So the idea now is, do we get a Barry Let's See episode 3? Or do we get a brand new Bioshock for the next-gen systems in the next few years? I don't really see more Barry Let's See coming. It's confirmed that this is the last that Irrational will release. I mean, there's no waiting to see if maybe they've also been working on episode 3 this whole time. Like, that is not happening. This is the end of it, and we know nothing else about anything coming out for Bioshock. I don't really know that we're probably going to need another Barry Let's See. Hopefully it wraps up nicely with this one. And then we've had 3 pieces of DLC that will conclude all of Bioshock Infinite. And hey, 2K, you've got that amazing property. We obviously love it. It reviewed fantastically. It sold even better. We're all loving everything about it. So hey, make something else fantastic, An Infinite 2 or a whole brand new universe. I don't know. I mean, maybe take Bioshock into space. That's just Rob's idea. But hey, you do whatever you want to do with it. Ultimately, it's just good to know that the property is still available. Something is going to happen with it. It's far too lucrative, popular, and, successful to let it die, considering a big studio like 2K Games has that property. So when you think about Bioshock going forward, what is it you think that will happen, and what is it that you would like to see happen? Holy hell, stop the presses and call the police, because I think I have officially made my shortest news video ever. I'm under 10 minutes right now, and I'll probably not going to finish it in time, but that's okay. Either way, it feels pretty good to finally get like a regular old news story in. That's all for Bioshock Infinite and the DLC related news for today. Of course, if you like what I'm doing, please feel free to subscribe, like, and share the video. And of course, share your comments and your thoughts below. Thank you always for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you next time.